Ask anybody and they'll tell you sound is enormously important to your video production. And the recent advancements in creator-focused lavs and mics have been fantastic. But do you always need the most recent product? The answer is no. In fact, depending on your use case scenario, older sometimes might be better. You're simply the best. Now, I've owned just about every DJI LAV system that's been released, and today we're going to talk about which one of those DJI LAV systems is best for you. Now, I'm aware that there's a lot of really great LAV systems out there, not necessarily DJI branded. It just so happens that that's the ecosystem I gravitate towards, because I own a great deal of DJI branded cameras, so I really like the connectivity. The ecosystem's super easy, so I own a great deal of DJI branded mics. So if you're looking for a DJI LAV system, then this video is for you. That being said, wait until the end of this video and I will give you a DJI alternative that I tend to use in my own kit. And in some instances, depending on the use case, might actually be better for you. Now, before we get into the actual tests of the audio, let's go over the overarching differences between all these microphones. Now, the DJI Mic 1 is definitely the bare bones of the bunch. It doesn't have 32-bit float, and it doesn't have any adaptive noise canceling. It's also the biggest of the three. Now, does this mean that it's the absolute worst of the three? Absolutely not. And as we go on, we'll explain, depending on your use case scenario, this mic might actually be the best one of the three for you. Now, the second gen mic, the DJI Mic 2, brings us 32-bit float. Now, if you didn't already know what 32-bit float was, you can think about it a great deal like a camera raw file. It just gives a much larger bit of dynamic range so that you can be really quiet or get really loud in your audio while avoiding clipping. Now, what people tend to forget is even with 32-bit float, you can still get clipping. See, 32-bit float only helps avoid digital clipping, but every microphone still has its limit. That means even with 32-bit float, you can still clip and overdrive your microphones. So keep that in mind when thinking about microphone placement or volume. Now, lines start to blur between the DJI Mic 2 and Mic 3. The software capabilities are extremely similar. Now, it would stand to reason that the software within these machines would only get better over time, meaning the software in the DJI Mic 3 is probably a great deal better than the DJI Mic 2. Now, does that crown the DJI Mic 3 the king of all of these microphones? Absolutely not, for reasons we'll get to down the road. But first, let's get into some tests. Now, the first audio test we're going to get to is in one of the most friendly audio environments out there, the studio. Now, first and foremost, you might have realized I changed my shirt. Why? Because I didn't realize that I was wearing a black shirt. That would make it very difficult to see the mics that I'm actually trying to talk about. So I decided to go and change into a much more colorful gray. Anyway, this is the DJI Mic 1. This is the most bare bones out of the bunch, and I'm not adding any post-processing outside of normalization for this audio. I want you to hear the actual clear signal of each microphone and each pack, really. So this is the unaltered audio out of the DJI Mic 1. Now, I can tell you from personal preferences, I do not like using the Mic 1 in this fashion. I don't like how heavy it is on the shirt. I don't like how it drags down the shirt whenever you use it. This is a scenario that I would never use the DJI Mic 1 in. It's just too heavy. Now, with the DJI Mic 2, I'm still using it in its best possible position, center mass. Now I'm using the internal mic and I'm not yet using noise reduction. I want you to hear the natural, unaltered sound of these microphones. Now, once again, this is a position I would never use this mic in. I just don't like them clipped to the shirt. I think it's far too heavy and it pulls down the shirt just like the Mic 1. Now you could just put it to the left or the right or on your lapel or something like that, but that means every time you turn your head in a different direction, it fluctuates sound and creates an imbalance in the audio quality. So to get your best possible audio quality, you want to put it in the sweet spot or center mass, so that no matter where you put your face, you're still equidistant from the microphone. Now, again, this is not my preference, and I would never use the microphone like this. I think it's an eyesore, and I really don't like what it does to clothing. Not a look I'm ever going for. Now, with the DJI Mic 3, you finally get a microphone where this kind of makes sense. See, clipping this to your shirt is not as much an eyesore as the other two. It's not as heavy, doesn't drag the shirt down as badly. So if this is actually the way you like to use your DJI mic, then the DJI Mic 3 is definitely the one for you. It's easy to wear, it's relatively light. This is finally the size mic that you can integrate into just about any outfit, depending on the outfit.
All my fashion favorite pieces are going to be colorful today.
Now, what I will not be doing in this video, with the exception of this very moment, is holding any of these microphones. Why? Because that's not what they were meant for. If you're comfortable holding a microphone, then go get a handheld mic. That's just not what these are made for. So why? I mean, I guess it's a trendy thing, but trends are dumb. I just wanna be a sheep. Now, as we take the DJI Mic 1 outside, we're still going to be using a clean audio signal. That means no low cut and no noise reduction, because of course this microphone doesn't have those to begin with. And we'll only be using the 32-bit float on the DJI Mic 1, or rather the DJI Mic 2 and 3, because the Mic 1 just doesn't offer it. Now, at the end of the day, all that noise reduction really is software anyhow, so it's safe to say that each generation of tech should have better software, at least you'd hope so. But is any of that software actually something you need? Well, not necessarily. See, again, all noise reduction is software. And that very same software can be found in your post-production editors like Resolve or Premiere or Final Cut or Avid. And oftentimes the software integrated into your editor is far more robust than the ones that you're going to find in these little microphones. So I would say if noise reduction is something that's really important to you and you're still editing your footage, always start with the cleanest possible signal you can and utilize the noise reduction software within your post-production editor, because it's almost definitely going to be more effective than the internal noise reduction of most of these microphones. Now, why would you want to do your noise reduction in post? Well, because you don't want the software, or rather the microphone, to tell you how to EQ your sound. And that's all noise reduction really is. It's just the software pulling out the frequencies that it determines as noise. And that will affect the sound of your microphone and ultimately the sound of your voice in the video. But that's not to say that it is totally useless. Obviously, there are a great many people out there, digital creators, that don't necessarily want to be diving into a post-production workflow. In fact, they don't want to edit at all. They just want to be able to post their videos straight to social media. And that is really what the DJI Mic 3 is built for, or just internal noise reduction in general. That's what it's built for. People that just don't really want to dive into a post-production workflow. So if you're a creator that just wants to post direct to your Instagram Reels or YouTube or any of those things without diving into a heavy post-production workflow, well, then internal noise reduction is definitely something you should be paying attention to. Now this is 100% how I would use the DJI Mic 1 and 2 for my own work. I love a lav mic. It's unobtrusive, it's not ugly, it doesn't drag the clothing down. Now typically would I use it just like this where it's obvious and in the picture? Absolutely not. I'd find a way to hide the mic, but for this kind of scenario, it's perfectly fine. We know we're doing an audio test, but you're able to hide lav mics far easier than you're able to hide a big plastic brick like the DJI Mic 1 and 2. You're able to either go under the shirt, tape to the chest, center mass, or find a lapel or something. The more center you can keep that mic, again, the better, depending on which way the head is going to turn. But is the DJI mic better with a lav? In my opinion, absolutely. Now that doesn't mean that every lav mic is going to work with the DJI Mic 1 and 2. In fact, some higher end lav mics are simply not going to work with your DJI mic system. See, lavalier microphones require power, and the nicer the microphone is, it tends to require more power to be able to work. So people have been buying these low-cost DJI mic systems and then going out and spending that money on a high-end lav mic, bringing it home just to realize the lav mic doesn't work with the DJI system. Now, they then blame on the technology what is actually user error. Now, the DJI Mic 1 and 2 output about between 2 and 3 volts. So if you have a lav mic that requires more, and it should be noted on the mic documentation, well, then it's just not gonna work. And as I said before, a great deal of the higher end microphones require a little more power, so they might actually not work with your DJI mic system. Now, you might be wondering, why is this thing back on my shirt? Well, that is because the DJI Mic 3 does not receive lav microphones. In fact, this is the only way you can use the DJI Mic 3 is using the internal mic on this little mechanical wart. Now, if that's something you're not interested in and you actually want the use of lav microphones, well, this is an instance where newer might not necessarily mean better, because this will not take a lav mic. Now, you may be asking yourself, wait a minute, I don't see a little mechanical wart or a little lav mic hidden anywhere. Where's the sound coming from? And that is because I currently have my DJI Mic 1 connected to my Sennheiser boom mic right above frame here. Now, this is yet another thing that the DJI Mic 3 simply cannot do. Again, newer, not necessarily better. That being said, the DJI Mic 1 and 2 actually still need a workaround to make this actually work properly as well, something we'll talk about down the road. So yes, once again, newer may not actually mean better, because the DJI Mic 1 and 2 are the only ones that provide the opportunity to use a secondary microphone, be that a lav or a boom mic like I'm using right now. The DJI Mic 3, and in fact the DJI Mic Mini, which I do not have, do not offer you the opportunity to use secondary microphones. This is the DJI Mic 2 with the Sennheiser boom mic right above frame. Now, I'm going to use the DJI Mic 3 to explain to you how I use a boom mic with my DJI Mic 1 and 2. See, remember what we said about lavs, how they actually require power to work? Well, the same holds true for boom mics. In fact, boom mics require a great deal more power to work. So you're going to have to use a boom mic that carries its own power. That means a microphone that either takes a battery, has an internal battery, or is connected to some power somewhere, because the actual DJI Mic 1 and 2 are not going to provide the phantom power that a boom mic needs. Now, that being said, once you do have a powered boom mic, I have my Sennheiser, which takes a AA battery. I have also used Rode video mics of various sizes. You can use any mic that takes a battery or has a battery internal. You're still going to need a ground loop. Now a ground loop is there because if you plug the XLR to TRS connector directly into the DJI mic 1 or 2, you're going to hear a whole lot of buzzing. That's just electric buzzing. Now, I'm not a tech. I don't know what causes it. I just know that this little machine, which is a very cheap little piece on Amazon, an electric ground loop, will actually eliminate that buzzing. Now, I've provided affiliate links down below for all the gear that you see here. It's really inexpensive stuff. The ground loop is like $5, TRS connection, maybe another $8. Not a really hefty setup. So please do use the affiliate links down below. It does help out the channel. Finally, let's take these mics outside and try out that noise reduction. I was in New York City recently for some work, so I decided to take the mics along with me and do some tests. All right, so this is a test of the DJI Mic 1. This is a noise test in New York City, a very loud environment. I'm right next to the Brooklyn Bridge. It's the morning rush hour, lots of people commuting. So this is the test for the DJI Mic 1 center mass clip to the shirt. This is a noise test of the DJI Mic 1. There is no noise cancellation outside of just a low cut filter. So let's see how this does in high traffic New York City, downtown Brooklyn. Yep, like trucks and various things going by. And this is a test of the DJI Mic 2 with no noise reduction. This is downtown Brooklyn, right next to the Brooklyn Bridge. Pretty heavy traffic today. So a test without any noise reduction in downtown Brooklyn during rush hour. And this is a test of the DJI Mic 2 with its noise reduction on. This is downtown Brooklyn during rush hour, right next to the Brooklyn Bridge. This is a test of the DJI Mic 2, noise reduction enabled. Here we are with the DJI Mic 3, zero noise reduction. I am in downtown Brooklyn. It is rush hour, lots of people commuting. I'm right near the Brooklyn Bridge, not far from the BQE. So lots of New York City noise. This is downtown Brooklyn, DJI Mic 3 with no noise reduction. This is the DJI Mic 3 with basic noise reduction. This is the basic noise reduction setting on the DJI Mic 3 in downtown Brooklyn near the Brooklyn Bridge during rush hour heavy traffic. Again, DJI Mic 3 with basic noise reduction. This is the DJI Mic 3 with strong noise reduction. Again, I'm in downtown Brooklyn near the Brooklyn Bridge during heavy traffic. This is rush hour in Brooklyn. I am right near the BQE, the Brooklyn Bridge, all that good stuff. So lots of traffic, New York City noise. This is the DJI Mic 3 with strong noise reduction applied. Now, the city might not be the only place you need noise reduction, so let's go outside and put these through their paces in a pretty extreme circumstance. First up, we're checking out the DJI Mic 1. I know what you might be thinking, but wait a minute, you said the DJI Mic 1 doesn't have noise reduction, and you'd be right, but I'm not about to force you to listen to me ride a lawnmower without noise reduction. So I'm using this opportunity to put the clean signal of the Mic 1 through post-processing noise reduction in DaVinci Resolve. Now, your noise reduction is going to be as good as the software you own, but I don't own any special noise reduction software. So what I have available to me is the noise reduction that's made available in DaVinci Resolve. Let's see if it's better than the internal of the DJI Mic 2 and 3. Now we're checking out the DJI Mic 2 internal noise reduction. There's only one level of noise reduction to choose from, so that's what I'm using. Is it better or worse than the post-processing noise reduction that we did on the DJI Mic 1? I'm not going to find out until I actually edit this footage. But this is a test of the DJI Mic 2 internal noise reduction. Now, on to the DJI Mic 3 and what technically should be the best noise reduction out of all three microphones. I've got the noise reduction set to high because, well, I think that should be fairly obvious. Now, does the noise reduction do as good a job as the post-processing noise reduction or the noise reduction in the DJI Mic 2? Well, we're just going to have to wait and see. Now that we're back inside and my lawn is finally manicured, let's talk about which one of these microphones may be best for you. First up, the DJI Mic 1. Who might that microphone be for? The DJI Mic 1 is actually fantastic for this very scenario. If you're a YouTuber or use social media where you have a home studio, you're speaking directly to camera, and you're actually not dealing with a great deal of outside noise. Now, if you are physically unable to control the volume of your own voice...
Yes, I'm having difficulty controlling the volume of my voice!
And perhaps have uncontrolled outbursts of screaming, then you might want to opt for one of the Mic 2 or Mic 3 utilizing the 32-bit float. But if you're able to control the volume of your own voice to where you're not suddenly screaming your head off, well then, the DJI Mic 1 might be the microphone for you. And good news, you get to save a whole bunch of money. The DJI Mic 2. Well, obviously, the DJI Mic 2 can do everything the DJI Mic 1 can do, plus it adds 32-bit float, adaptive noise cancellation. It looks cool. I mean, honestly, this is the one I go to, and this is the one I keep in my kit. It is the most roundabout of all the three microphones, the most useful in my opinion. You're able to use this for in-studio YouTube work, but you're able to also bring it out on narrative projects, match it with a lav microphone, bring it on dock projects, interviews, utilizing the lav or the boom mic. This is a fantastic system for the all-arounder. See, this is my personal favorite of all the three mics, and one that I wish to God I had back in the day when I was kind of a one-man band shooting digital content for places like Vice or Vox Media. I wish I had a system like the DJI Mic 2. It's so simple, it's an all-arounder, it's really good for one-man band kind of productions. You can use it for wedding videography, you can use it for doc filmmaking, and you can use it for narrative. It is just an all-arounder. Again, this is my favorite one to use. I would say if you do anything outside of just home studio, social media video, then pick up the DJI Mic 2. That's the one for you. Because that's one for me. Well, that's the one for me, so maybe it's the one for you if you do stuff that I do. You know what I'm talking about. Also, I'm not gonna lie, the DJI Mic 2 has the best kit. I mean, it is the most robust feeling charging case, and it's got the best bag. This bag has all its little compartments. It's very obviously waterproof. I don't know why they skimped on the bag when they moved up to the DJI Mic 3.
Don't get cheap on me, Dodson.
It's just not as nice a bag or a charging case. So, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious. I'm certainly partial to the DJI Mic 2. Now, who's the DJI Mic 3 for? Well, in my opinion, if you're a social media vlogger, if you go directly to Instagram or TikTok, YouTube, and you don't want to get mired in a whole bunch of editing or post-production, well then the DJI Mic 3 is built for you exactly. It's going to give you everything you need right out of the gate. You don't have to be worrying about post-production or tech, and you can just focus on your personality-driven social media video. Now, lastly, if you've noticed, I'm not using any of the DJI mics for this section, and that is because I'm using my favorite DJI mic alternative, and that is the Tentacle Track E with the Tentacle timecode sync. That is my favorite go-to when not using the DJI products. Now, the Tentacle Track E system is really a step towards a more professional system, as Tentacle is often used on professional sets. That being said, this system does come with some caveats. See, where the DJI mic system can actually record internal 32-bit float and send signal to a receiver on your camera, the Track E system can only do 32-bit float internally and does not have a receiver for your camera. See, I have no idea how companies like DJI and Rode and the like are able to create technology that records internally and sends signal. See, because that patent has always been owned by a company called Zaxcom. See, that company, Zaxcom, has owned that patent for years now, and it looks, sadly, like they're going to own it for a couple more years in the future. And Zaxcom, well, let's just say they're not afraid to open a lawsuit, that's for sure. So while DJI and Rode and all those companies clearly chose to take a chance and do the internal recording while also simultaneously sending signal, Tentacle actually decided to play by the rules. So Tentacle does not have a receiver for your camera and only records internally. That being said, Tentacle is phenomenal when it comes to timecode sync systems. And in fact, almost every set you go on, you can find a sound person that has a Tentacle sync system to jam timecode. And if they don't, it's very easy for them to jam timecode to your Tentacle sync, and then you're all on the same timecode. That's, see, that's not like the DJI systems. The DJI system outputs timecode through the DJI receiver. So you actually have to have a whole bunch of DJI receivers to push the same timecode. It works as its own little timecode box. The Tentacle Track E also powers much larger lav microphones and has a traditional locking lav input. Now, this is what I've been using for my YouTube setup recently, and I have to say, I absolutely love it. I also took these units with me all over the world when I was shooting the show Destinations of the Damned with Zach Bagans. These things went through wear and tear. We went through 13 different countries in just a handful of months, and they never failed. They worked through the entire season of the show, and I absolutely stand by the Tentacle products. And that is it. That is it for the DJI mic shootout. I hope I've given you some useful information, or at the very least, mildly entertained you. And if you have stuck around with me until the end here, I'd like to thank you very much for hanging out with me. Please do come back here for all things filmmaking, and I'll see you in the next one.